Welcome to the Bowls Hour, brought to you by Summerset Retirement Villages and Dynasty Apparel. Today we're going to talk to Kevin Hansen, the mastermind of last weekend's Morrinsville Clinico Classic, and then have a chat with Clare Hendra about her PBA season. First though, Alex, my co-host here with me today, is going to talk about the Nationals, the Summerset Nationals, Alex. They're open.
Yes, they are open. The floodgates have opened earlier on today. This morning, the Nationals entries opened on Bowls Hub Aotearoa.
Yep.
There's about 20 different ways you can find your way to the entries, Erin. There is a post on Facebook. There's our cover picture or a cover image on Facebook's been updated. There is a featured post on the website.
Yes.
There is a widget on the website.
Yep.
And you've also, everyone who entered the Nationals last year will have been sent an email.
Yep.
And if that fails, you just Google Nationals or Bowls Hub and it'll pop up.
Or you just go straight to bowlshubaotearoa.co.nz and you sign in and all the information will be right in front of you.
So if you're listening to this and you already have a Bowls Hub Aotearoa profile, you don't need to worry about any of the stuff that I've just said, because if you just log into Bowls Hub, it'll be there. The events will be sitting there on your dashboard, and you can just click and enter through that. You can sort of, you don't have to click your way through. But I'm looking forward to it. We had a really good uptake. We've had I think there's about 2,500 members on Bowls Hub now.
There are. I tried to change my membership number. I was trying to get a different number, and I was trying to pick years, and I was told, no, we're in the 2000s now. We can't allocate those numbers. I was like, oh.
That must have been disappointing, but it's a sign that we've had a lot of people pick up use the system, which is great. So it should be easier this year than it was last year, and easier next year than it is this year to enter, which is really cool.
Payment functions all in part of Bowls Hub, aren't they?
Yes, it is. It's all integrated. And if you are struggling, or if you need to ask a question or anything, Colin is the man to answer all the questions. So just flick him an email at events@bowlsnewzealand.co.nz, and that'll be managed from there. But it's pretty easy. And there's also some guides on the website, Erin. If people click on the featured post that says the Nationals have opened, and we call it the Summerset Nationals entries hub, there are a couple of documents there that are like step-by-step instructions. If you haven't used Bowls Hub before, if it's been a while since you used it, you can click on those documents. And
something on those documents, because it's caught out a couple of people last year, and even the best of us can get caught out with this, is when you are reading your step-by-step document and you are working on a web page next to it, just remember which one's which and don't try and close the window of the document and go, the X is not working or the link is not working, because you're simply looking at a photo of a screen as opposed to the actual screen. I do this all the time. I'm forever taking screenshots on my phone of either online shopping things I want to do or a web page where I've got a piece of information that I want to remember. So I'll be looking at the photos, I'll get distracted, I'll come back to my photos and I'll be like, oh, I don't want this web page anymore, and I'll hit the go back button if it's a screenshot of a web page, and I'm wondering why my phone's not going back, and it's because it's a photo.
That's certainly a key point here. And so they are screenshots, but really helpful guides, and it is pretty intuitive. I think it's a pretty intuitive system. So just sort of trust your instincts. There'll be something on the screen that tells you what to do. Essentially,
you can't break it.
We can break it.
Users at your end, you cannot break it.
I well remember, Erin, halfway through lockdown, Colin sent me a message.
Yes.
And he said, is there a backup button on the website? And I have never moved more quickly to a computer than I did on that day. I actually don't want to talk about it. It's upsetting. But yes, we're the ones that can damage the stuff. The people on the front end, it's fine. The other thing I just wanted to talk about, so I just need to recover from the trauma. I need to talk about with the Nationals is there's been a couple of little tweaks. There's been a couple of changes.
Conditions of play?
To the conditions of play, So every game now will have a time limit of 3 hours, which is very... Oh, you go.
I was going to say, when you say every game, is that singles, pairs, fours, and mixed pairs?
Yep.
Every
so
game.
Even your singles game has a 3-hour time limit.
Okay.
So essentially what we've done is taken away a time limit from the singles is what that means. It's exceedingly rare to see a 3-hour game. We've just stopped the people who, you won't be able to go away for a drink and come back.
Yeah.
So, you can't go have a meal and then come back to your singles game. We expect you to play it out.
Yeah.
But it's essentially taken away the time limit factor from the singles because we knew we could get that played. And I think it's fair if you're playing to 21 points. You want to get to 21 points and not be robbed by a time limit if you're having a really close game.
Yeah.
And we can afford to do that in the singles event because they are that little bit shorter.
Yep.
In the pairs or in the mixed pairs, it's 12 ends, which is less than what we have had in the past.
Yep.
So we've only ever one mixed pairs event. It was in Alexandra in Central Otago.
Yep.
And they were 16 ends, and we had 1 day of qualifying.
Yep.
This year, it's 2 days of qualifying.
Yep.
So you play 6 games instead of the 3.
Yep.
And then it goes into post-section. So you get a bit more bang for your buck. And I do acknowledge that the games are shorter than they were, but that's because 242 takes a while to play.
Yes.
And we needed to guarantee that we could get 4 games of post-section in 1 day.
Yep.
Last time it was run, we were staring down the barrel of a dark night and someone trying to finish the game, but we were fortunate that they were one-sided games. So the 16 ends is just too long. You cannot get 4 games done in a day of post-section.
Entering the mixed pairs this year myself, I'm okay with 12 ends. I don't know if my stamina's going to be up. My stamina's going to be up for 16.
That's great. I'm looking forward to seeing how you go, Erin.
So am I.
How much practice have you been doing for this mixed pairs?
Well, I have had a bit of a break in my practice because the weather has been a nightmare. I have been practicing every weekend in the mornings. There was one weekend where I actually did about 6 hours, I think, all up. And I did a couple of trail jacks into the ditch the other day, not on purpose.
No, you
but
never say it's not on purpose. That time I put the jack in the ditch, it was an accident. So
yes, exactly. No, I think it's more about it's going to be the fun and the enjoyment of it. So I'm entering with someone who is Australia-based, and we can both practice outside of being in the same place at the same time, so that when we do play, it's going to be more fun. I'm apologising now to anyone that I might come across. You're going to get an easy win through, or you'll get me on fire, and I'm going to never let you forget it.
If you win a game, there's going to be a celebration at the Bowls New Zealand offices, I think.
Hey, bowls is a sport for everyone of all abilities, okay? We're being inclusive here.
It'd be great.
Yeah.
I'd enjoy it. Yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah.
The only other thing, so that's essentially the Nationals. So it's open.
Yes.
The conditions play a little bit different.
Yes.
They're very minor changes. There's just more time to play the things in, which I think is, if anything, a positive. But last week we spoke about, and I'm segueing away from the Nationals now, we're leaving the Nationals behind. Yep. We spoke to Mark Cameron about like a 3rd and 4th playoff, and we asked for feedback on playoff stuff. And we had a couple of people, and I must admit to my surprise, the only feedback we have has been in favour of a 3rd and 4th playoff, play off to find a 3rd place and a 4th place. And interestingly, it's funny how the world sort of clicks together. We also put up an old game, or I haven't put it up yet. You'll see an old game soon of Peter Bellis won the national singles in the mid-80s, beat Morgan Moffat in the final, and at that event they had a 3rd and 4th playoff in the singles.
Okay.
So it's not without precedent that we have done that at national events. I thought it's just an interesting thing to ponder.
I would want to know that I am the outright winner of that medal. I mean, it's easy to go, oh yeah, I got a 3rd place, but would you have actually won it if there was a game played? And I'd be able to, yes. Yeah,
and it's nice, I suppose, to know that conversely, it's upsetting if you lose a semi-final and lose the playoff of 3rd and 4th. But nice to know that you've fought out for that 3rd place. So I can understand the logic there. My thinking may have turned just a little bit. Not a lot, but I can understand why that's something that people might
You've got an outright
want
3rd place.
Yeah. I think that's all I wanted to talk about in this section. Erin, who have we got up next?
Coming up next, we're going to be speaking with Kevin Hansen and the weekend just been Morrinsville Clinico Classic, which amongst all of the weather seemed to be a great success. So, we'll be coming back to you with Kevin.
Welcome back to the Bowls Hour, brought to you by Summerset Retirement Villages and Dynasty Apparel. And Erin, today we have got Kevin Hansen on. We've had him on before, but it was pre the Clinico Morrinsville Classic. and now it's post that. So we've got him on board to have a review on that. How are you feeling, Kev?
A little bit tired, actually. Got to drive to Palmerston North in a couple of hours, but we'll get there. And we're feeling pretty good about it all.
You should be feeling very good about it because it looked great, and you had some tricky weather that you had to deal with.
Yes, well, we started off with quite a large function on the Friday night, and in our club rooms, and the club rooms look over the grass green, and the grass green had 3 inches of water over the whole lot of it. It poured down. And it was still raining, pouring down with rain during the function, and everyone said, well, that's gold for Saturday, cut and dried, it won't happen. But we got there. We had a very determined greenkeeper who was down there very, very early on Saturday morning, helped by a team of club members, and he got the water off with the roller. It hadn't even stopped at 6 o'clock in the morning, the rain, and we got the water off with a roller. He was just amazing, Trevor Lingard, our greenkeeper, and we managed to pick it off at 5 to 9.
Oh, well done.
And it looked threatening all day, but the last game of the day at about 3:30, the rain came down again. We had to cut that game short, and then it rained all night again, and we just had to repeat the process on Sunday morning, which we did, and we kicked it off at 9 o'clock again, and it was a beautiful day for the rest of the day. Absolutely beautiful.
Shout out to Trevor for all of his hard work and your club members who helped him to get the play happening.
Well, I think with Trevor Lingard, I've got a few little grandchildren who want some bunny rabbits for Christmas, and I've got an old top hat here, and I thought if I gave my top hat to Trevor, he might better pull some white rabbits out of the top hat. I wouldn't have to go and buy them. It was a magic trick.
Before or after he's rolled the green is the question.
Now you've got Christmas sorted.
Very good. So we'll put the link up. Actually, it was streamed. Day 2 was streamed from Morrinsville. It looked pretty good, so we'll put that up for people to have a nosy at. So I thought I'd take you back to the beginning, Kevin, because we've had the successful event now, and it's been well run and well received. But right back at the beginning, can you just talk to us about who had the idea, how it came about, all that sort of stuff?
Well, the first I remember it is, and it happens lots of times, doesn't it? We're in the club rooms after a club day, just having a little social drink, and half a dozen of us, and it got mentioned to run a pretty big 2-day tournament, and I didn't take long to prick my ears up because I'm from the event industry, and it developed from there, and that was actually 2 years ago because, as you know, COVID stopped our first one a year ago, but we've got it underway now. So it was 2 years ago that we first mentioned that why not run a 2-day tournament. So it's been 2 years in the process, and we got there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And was it always in your head, once you started talking about it, how did you settle on the classic format? Because it's a little bit different to just a straight fours or a straight pairs tournament, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And the classic format was devised by Steve Mills, actually, with a little bit of input from me. We both wanted a final, and it caused us a few headaches right at the end. But we made a little couple of blues. I have to say, I made them with my inexperience in the bowling industry, and just having the final being played as part of the 8th round worked, and it didn't work. So it's a little bit of a negative there. The rest was all positive. But we've already had meetings, and we'll fix that for next year. And we want the final format, but it will be more than likely played on its own next year after the finish. And we'll time it all to finish earlier to make that happen.
Brilliant. That sounds good. It is a lot of effort into it, eh? So, can you just talk us through, Joe Blogg's bowler out there thinking, oh, we just jump and play in tournaments. How hard can it be to run? Can you talk us through sort of some of the planning that goes behind getting one of these events up and running?
Well, you've got to have the bowling for the planning for the bowling first and foremost. That's the crux of the matter. And I've got club members who are dedicated to making that happen. And Steve and Linda Mills were fantastic, and our president Jackie Driver was right in behind us, and so they formatted and planned from 18 months out how the bowling was going to happen. I then took the event and, with the help of everyone, and decided to upmarket it. So how do we do that? I love getting sponsorship and funding, and we went out and targeted, quite a few sponsors, all putting in good money, and then Bowls New Zealand and Tamara came in behind us with the live streaming. That filming's ideal, what she's got, and it's gone to our Sky producer now, and all that takes money and time and effort to plan. And so I took the event and worked out how we're going to get sponsors, and once we got them, how we would give them value for money, which is a huge ask. And especially with a sport like bowling, it's not regarded as a mainstream, exciting sport, but we're going to change that and make it happen. So, look, there's hours and hours and hours of work in the planning, and days, weeks and months. So event organisers generally work very long hours getting ready for the event, and there was no exception here.
Absolutely, and sort of just quickly on the topic of sponsors, it was the Clinico Classic, and I saw there was a little advert they did, and I said, was it their first ever video ad that created? Can you talk us through that, please, Kev?
Yes, well, you've just got a good girl on New Zealand's employee list called Julie Blake, and Julie's husband, Graham Blake runs a marketing and promotion company, a Cracker. He does all the work for Clinico, and they wanted an ad for television and live streaming, and he came up with the idea of using Morrinsville bowlers. And so we've got two Morrinsville club bowlers starring in the adverts, and I'm both waiting for a contract from Hollywood, and it's a little ad that was shot at first at Steve and Linda Mills' house.
I was going to say, I recognise the kitchen.
Yeah, and then it went down to the Morrinsville Bowling Club, and then into Hamilton to Clinico's offices. So it was Graham Blake's idea and Clinico who came up with the plan to use bowlers with dentures, and it was a little plan to that they were off to the Clinico. The two Morrinsville bowlers were off to the Clinico Spring Classic, but they were getting late, and their granddaughter was hassling them because Grandpa was having trouble with his dentures and fitting his dentures. And it's quite a classic little ad, actually. Have you seen it?
Yes, I have. It's I got a good chuckle from it. I think we'll have that up somewhere around to have a look at as well, Kev. It was good value.
Yeah, well, Peter Hall and Christine Finlay, who are starring in it, are very proud of it too, and as we all are, that they're stars in the ad. So it was done well.
Yeah, I love those little stories. So you got the event. We've spoken about how it got there and getting the sponsorships and the organisation, all that sort of stuff. Can you tell us who won, Kev? Who came out on the top of the pile after the event?
Yeah, I can tell you that. And there are a bunch of stars. It was a composite team, and next year we'll have a different name than composite teams. It caught me out a wee bit at the event. Didn't think about it. But I come from lots of equestrian sports background, and lots of composite teams, and they're all named with sponsors or different names for the team. So we'll throw the word composite out next year.
Fair enough.
It was a lovely team skip by Olivia Bloomfield was the skip for it. She is with the flag bearer for the Niue Island team at the Com Games recently, and is an Australian pairs current champion.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa Mundell from Hamilton, Briar Atkinson, who is a lovely 18-year-old young lady from New Plymouth, a nursing student in New Plymouth. Wonderful player and wonderful girl to have here. And Gary Cotter, who's just won the Professional Bowlers Association Pairs New Zealand title and is preparing to go to Great Britain to the World Final in England. So they were a wonderful fours, very classy team, and they beat the Takapuna team. It wasn't one-sided, but it was a little bit. It wasn't close in the end. Takapuna came out firing, and then Olivia's team took over and controlled the rest of the match, really. It was a good idea, and to have the final, and we're going to have it on its own next year, we think,
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing that you can look at and that the community can should pay attention to as well here is this is the first time you've run a competition of this nature and you're already sitting there going, what worked, what could we do better and things like that. So it's a great thing that you've looked back already, literally it happening just in the weekend, and you can sit there and go, these are the things that we want to change, because so many people can sit there and say, oh, well, it didn't work out well, so we're just going to not pay attention to it next year or something like that, whereas you're already sitting there going, let's make this better and let's do it this way. And I think that's a testament, because let's face it, this is not your first rodeo in a sporting event.
Literally.
And taking a competition and developing it and making it greater on year after year after year as well. So I think if anyone has kind of looked at the competition and gone, oh, what's that going to bring for us in our little bowling club of Morrinsville and things like that, they should definitely watch this space, because I think it can do great things.
Yeah, thank you. And with any shakedown from an event, I've learned over years that you've got to be positive about and not criticise yourself and other people. You've got to be positive about the good parts of it and positive about the changes that you want to make. So, we'll make those and move on from here and do a fabulous 2023 event.
That's going to be exciting.
Absolutely. So just before we go to the bonus question, which Erin is going to ask, just before we get there, I've neglected to mention that you had Val Smith and Joe Edwards in Morrinsville for the weekend. What was that like, and what response did they get?
Oh, we brought them in on a Women of Prayer, wondering how we would gain from it, and man, were they stars. They were just superstars. Their talks at the Friday night function was amazing. They brought the house down, and they were so easy to talk to, and the people loved talking to them. The bowlers loved talking to them, and they were so approachable. And to actually watch them play, and Joe actually got a fourth with the Morrinsville team, with Steve Mills actually. They missed out by 1 point getting in the final, so it was that close. And to me, it was a shame they didn't get in the final, but good on the other teams for beating them. But Joe and Val were just amazing, absolutely incredible. And I had to drive them to Auckland yesterday because the fog and rain had closed the Hamilton airport, and they couldn't. The plane was cancelled, and we couldn't have got home till later on today. So I went them up to Auckland and got them on a plane at 2:00. But they are just delightful ladies and true champions of the sport. I can't speak highly enough of them. And for those other 6 Morrinsville players who played with them, they've all come and said what a thrill to play with Joe and Val. And the other teams they even played against said it was just a thrill to play with superstars like that. So, yeah, it was fantastic.
Brilliant, and that's something pretty special, I think, Kev. So Erin's now got the bonus question.
All right.
I haven't heard it yet, actually. I'm looking forward to the bonus question.
I'm scared about that.
No, don't be. So it is because over the last couple of weekends I've been out and about, and something has been creeping into retail. As the summer of bowls is fast approaching, so is Christmas.
Yeah.
Is it too early for shops to have their Christmas decorations on sale? That's the question. Far too early?
Far too early.
You don't think you could just buy them and put them away and have them sitting there for 1st of December when they roll out, or is it just we this is not ready for us yet? We've got other things going on. I'm all for it. I'm 100% for it. I'm like, right, what am I going to get next? I can't wait. And I've already started listening to one Christmas carol in my playlist. I can't help myself.
Yeah, no, I enjoy Christmas too, and I look forward to it. But it's far too early to be Christmas. We're all too busy to be thinking about Christmas yet. And,
I guess
the world gets faster as the months get on towards Christmas. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
But I think it's far too early to have Christmas decorations up yet.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Erin.
That's okay. That's no problem. I was just going to say, I guess, and you touched on it there, is we've got so many things happening between now and Christmas that we shouldn't be rushing for Christmas. And I'll just keep my one Christmas carol playing in my playlist.
Just put a little Christmas tree on your desk.
No, I haven't got decorations up or out yet.
Okay.
I will purchase to be prepared so I don't miss out on anything. But at the same time, I do like going in when they're trying to get rid of them all.
No, we can talk about this more later on in the show, yeah?
Well, I'll tell you something here, and I like Christmas carols too, and I've got a music playlist. I don't know that I play when I'm driving, and I'm driving to Palmerston North this afternoon, and I've got a Christmas playlist, a playlist of all my favourite songs, all the old-fashioned songs, of course, and I don't know how to take songs off it, and I've got 2 or 3 Christmas carols on that from last year still.
So we'll see if you're not playing
every now and then Christmas comes for Kevin.
A little bit early. Oh, well, thank you so much for talking to us today, Kevin. It's been wonderful to have you, and congratulations once again on your event that you've had.
We enjoyed it all.
Yeah.
Erin and Alex, thank you very much for having us on.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Safe travels.
Thanks, Kev. Travel safe.
Well, thank you for talking to us, Kevin. All the best on your drive. And up next, we're going to be speaking with Clare Hendra here on the Bowls Hour. Welcome back to the Bowls Hour, brought to you by Summerset Retirement Villages and Dynasty Apparel. And now we are speaking with Clare. Welcome to the show, Clare.
Thanks, Erin. Great to be here.
Awesome. You gave Alex a fright with that one. He did a little jump.
Sorry.
What a start.
Keeping him on his toes.
No worries. Yes, thanks for coming on to the show, Clare. It's good to have you. So, I think you're a pretty well-known bowler, to be fair, so I don't need to introduce you much to the people listening. So I thought then instead of that, we'll go right back to the beginning. And I just wanted to hear from you, what's your earliest recollection of lawn bowls? What's your earliest memory?
I remember going right back to secondary school nationals. Before secondary school nationals, actually, playing here in Wellington, standing there in what was the most ridiculous uniform that you could do. Everybody knows that I'm not exactly the biggest person in the world or the tallest person in the world, and the only uniform that our school had that we could use for bowls was the ladies' cricket team uniform that was long sleeves. So you can imagine I literally just walked up and down the green, flicking the end of my sleeve, which is about 10 centimetres, way too long, up and down as I walked up and down. And then it ended, we were completely the underdogs, having never played bowls before, came through and won the peers here in Wellington, and they finished that off interviewing me on a box because I was too short for the thing. So yeah, it's a fantastic, great memory to start bowls, but obviously it's come a long way since then.
It's come a long way, but you're still standing on boxes for interviews, aren't you?
I am, but we thought we'd hidden that one, Erin. We were taking that one away.
As long as you're not standing on a box for the podcast.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Oh, good times. I like how some things don't change.
Very good. So that was your introduction to the sport. Did it take you long from the secondary schools, or what was the journey from a secondary schools player to joining up to a club and being a bit more competitive, Claire?
It felt like it was one big rush for me. I was a squash player here in New Zealand, and I played in the age group squash team for New Zealand and Wellington. And at the same time, I'd given bowls a go. We literally got noticed by a couple of sort of scouts that they had back then, who tapped me on the shoulder and said, I think that you'd be a good contender to play for New Zealand. So I hadn't even joined a club at this point. And I got sent up to Wanganui to be assessed by one of the coaches at the time, the Bowls New Zealand coaches, who then said, yep, we're pretty keen to have you play for New Zealand, but you'd have to join a club. So I joined good old Silver Stream out here at home, and I've never looked back.
Nice.
That's amazing. So did you have to then make a choice between the squash and the bowls, and how did that go?
For about 5 years, I managed to juggle playing squash at that really high level and playing bowls sort of at the age group New Zealand level, travelling to nationals and all of those sorts of events. They didn't seem to clash too much. Squash is a winter sport and bowls is summer. The only time it started to get really challenging was when I hit university and trying to do a double degree and play both the sports and travel around. Just became a little bit too much. So it was about the age of 21, 22, I decided to stick with bowls rather than squash. I can't say that I don't miss squash. I really did love playing the game, but I really do enjoy the atmosphere that we have in bowls and getting outside in the fresh air and all of the people. It's just a great sport.
Claire knows how to do a fair bit. University, winter
It's a lot of
sports, summer sports, a lot of stuff.
Very good. So you had, pretty immediate success. Secondary schools, played for the age group New Zealand team. What are some other early successes that pop out to you when you look back over your career, Claire?
So I started back in around 2006, I think it was. So the first time representing New Zealand, we played a Trans-Tasman T-Series, and then we went to the Youth Commonwealth Games, which was an absolute amazing experience. It kind of paved that way for me wanting to continue to play the sport for New Zealand and play at that high level, and had great exposure to meeting lots of players from around the world. From there, I then had the opportunity to play in the Trans-Tasman teams for probably like 6 or 7 years, if not more, which was great. I also had the opportunity to go to Hong Kong and play in the Hong Kong peers, but probably around 2010, prior to having my little boy, was one of my biggest seasons, where we won the New Zealand Open, was it the Open Peers that they had up in Auckland tournament.
Yep.
I'd won the Australian triple with Jan Khan and Val Smith, and I also was the under-25 world champ that year. So that was probably one of the highlight years prior to what I kind of feel like is a little bit of a comeback to the sport after having that break.
So talk us through that, Claire. So you reached those heights 2010, and then what happened?
I think life just happened. That was when I finished university and had, I had my first job, and balancing buying a house and doing all of that and having the child. So I stayed playing in the Trans-Tasman teams and playing for New Zealand and being in the New Zealand Open squad up until I think it was about 2014. And then I kind of felt like I was a bit stale at that point. Had my little boy in 2016 and returned back to playing what I thought was originally going to be sort of socially in about 2018. And I got brought back into sort of the national scene by Taylor Bruce, who gave me a buzz one day and just said, look, I know this is a bit odd, but I really enjoyed playing against you years ago, and I've heard you're playing again. Would you be keen to play national peers with me? And that was sort of the start of me getting back into playing a lot more at that higher level. That's
amazing. So what was that like to get that phone call?
It was actually quite humbling. I haven't had the opportunity to talk to Taylor too much from when we'd played years and years ago down in Dunedin. I think it was a singles semi-final. It was a great game. But I felt like there was respect there from a player that I respected as well. So it definitely it made me realise that there was that opportunity to come back and play at the level that I want to play.
Absolutely.
Cool.
And when you guys got together as a pairs team, how did you find the team dynamic? I suppose is the question. Like how was it at the Nationals?
I think it's brilliant. We've played together now, I think, for about, it feels like 4 seasons. And each season we've kind of got closer and closer. We've had although we are a bit sick of that silver medal.
I wasn't going to say it.
But I can say the team dynamic is great. We're comfortable with each other. We don't mind questioning each other. And I don't think I'd ever come off a green being angry or upset at Taylor. We could be upset at our results, but I just really enjoy playing with her, yeah.
Does it make it tricky being such a well-combined team to then have to face each other in singles play?
I'm one of those people that, I lost us at the national finals to Taylor this season. And I can honestly say I was very proud of the fact that we'd both made it there.
Yeah.
And that it was us. You're disappointed that you lost, but I was also really excited that Taylor was the one to win it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's a strange attitude or I can instantly go from that I've lost to actually I'm really happy for somebody.
Yeah.
It's probably just a habit of mine that I will always go for the positive rather than the negative.
Yeah. I think it's good because it shows just how well of a good team that you are, that you can play together, you can compete against each other, but then you're actually proud of each other for your own individual successes at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. I can definitely say I'm very proud of the successes that all of my teammates have. Very, very proud of the likes of Selena and Taylor, having had the opportunity to play with them over the last few years and national forwards, to get to see them achieve what they have done is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
Just a slight segue. We're still on bowls, but to the PBA now, Claire, which is an organisation which you're involved in. I know nothing about the PBA because in the winter time I play indoor bowls. So this is more. It's a good opportunity to ask some questions just for anyone else listening who doesn't know anything about the PBA. Can you explain to us what is it? When do you play? Where do you play? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so the Professional Bowls Association is played across 6 different venues in New Zealand. There's 6 different coordinators, one per venue. I myself am the Wellington coordinator. And what we do have is sort of a website where people can jump online and have a look at how they can enter our events. But what we have is 4 major events across the year, which is our Scottish singles, the UK singles, the world singles, and the world pairs. And each region has a straight knockout structure where once you've entered and you play, if you go through and win your region, that qualifies you to play at our PBA national finals for that specific event. So when you go to the finals and say, for example, you won that, and if we use the Scottish as an example, you've then qualified to have a position over at the Scottish camps in Scotland later that year, and you get sort of $1,500 towards supporting you getting there and taking part in that event. We do also have a couple of other opportunities, which is the under 25 player and the ladies player can be nominated to play in events overseas as well, and then depending on what happens with those nominations, they may get to travel overseas. But the PBA is played, it's a 2-set sort of style game with a tie break, so it can get quite, competitive. And it's a lot of fun. Definitely get where one person might win the first set really, really well, and then the second person comes in and takes out that second set, and all of a sudden you've got sort of a one-goal
panic stations.
Yeah.
Panic stations with a tie break. How does that feel, Alex?
I don't. Yeah, let's not talk about it. So, I'm sure I've seen somewhere. Is there a Trans-Tasman or a PBA New Zealand team or something? What's that? How's that work?
Yes, you are correct. We've had, obviously, COVID put us in a little bit of a backwards habit with that one. We haven't had the Trans-Tasman now for 3 years, but I do know that they are scheduling the one for this year. So what we have in the PBA is a ranking system. So the ranking points are based on wins that you get over the course of the season. And what we do is record 2 seasons worth of points that get combined to identify where you sit in the rankings against all other players in the PBA. And the top 4 ranked players immediately make the Trans-Tasman team, and it is a 5-person team. So usually the 5th person is the highest performed person from the previous Trans-Tasman. If that person's ranked in the top 4, then we take the 5th ranked player. I can actually say I felt really lucky. Just before COVID hit, I was the first woman to make that Trans-Tasman team here for New Zealand, but unfortunately due to COVID didn't get the opportunity to actually play it.
So how do we go? What am I trying to say?
I have a question before you ask yours.
Yes, you go, Erin.
So if you go purely by points, could you get to, you've just said that you were the first woman top-ranked person to get in that way. So could the first 4 people based on points be men or women, and you're just going to take them regardless?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's no gender differentiation in PBA apart from the fact that in the past it has been majority male play.
Yeah.
The female membership in PBA has been growing over the last few years. We've been really enjoying it here, or I've been really enjoying it here in Wellington, because it really has been increasing since I've joined. I joined 4 years ago. But yeah, definitely, if it's 3 females at the top and a male, then that's who goes.
And you compete against each other throughout the season, so it's mixed competition. Is that correct?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yep.
We have it's straight knockout. You just get randomly drawn. We actually I do our live draws on Facebook so that there's no dodginess going on.
Yeah.
But also we have a peers event, and it can be any combination peers. You don't have to be a member of a same club or anything like that. You just find yourself another PBA member and you can play. You can also travel across the different venues and play at different venues.
Yeah.
What we do find is that you can only play each event once.
Yeah.
But like, for example, myself, I wasn't sure whether I was going to be in the country at the time that my two of my events were being run in Wellington. So I travelled down to Invercargill and played at their venue for a weekend, which was absolutely heaven, because obviously their venue has a fantastic heater.
I was just going to say, would it be warmer?
Yeah, it was a nice change.
Yeah. I love it. We go to Invercargill to play in winter because it's warmer. The irony. That's
good.
Cool. That's good. It's a really cool, interesting way to see how you select a team to represent when you go purely based on points, which is by wins or events scored, and you are getting the top of the top, and there's no questions asked.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's interesting, and as part of the PBA, I presume, or I think it's part of if people have seen the World Bowls Tour, is that right, Claire? Is it all connected to that organisation?
It is all connected to the World Bowls Tour. I know that they've just started changing all of the language online and changing websites. So the World Bowls Tour is in the middle of doing all of their updating to a different website at the moment. So it did all used to be called Professional Bowls Association. I'm not sure what the change in language over in the UK means for us in the next coming sort of seasons, but it may be that PBA just finds a new name here. Who knows? But obviously, we've got about between 250 and 300 members at the moment, and I know that there's definitely space in every region for growth.
Excellent.
For sure. It's exciting. I've blinked and we've been talking for a while, so I think Erin has a bonus question.
I have the bonus question.
Well, I don't think Erin has a bonus question. I know Erin has a bonus question.
Erin has the bonus question today. And because it's from me, it's not about food.
What's that supposed to mean?
Alex picks all the food questions. Claire, the other day, here is your a little bit of a preamble about this question. The other day, I was in a store and the Christmas decorations section was already up and running. Is it too early for Christmas decorations in shops right now? That is the question.
Well, is it okay to admit that I'm a little bit of a Christmas lover?
Oh, really? I would never have thought.
So I am myself currently hand making Christmas decorations, but I can say I don't agree with them being in shops yet.
Okay.
I think it's too early in shops, but okay to take advantage of your evenings at home making them.
Yeah. I was having a little bit of a look, and there's a lot more on the shelves. I'm thinking perhaps there was stock that was delayed with all of the COVID shipping delays and everything that came out of last year. Because I think the country's been yeah. So I've been
you're encouraging me to go shopping.
Never.
That's the vibe. That's the vibe I'm getting.
Never. I haven't. I'm nowhere near putting my tree up, but I'm ready to prepare. I'm ready to pick up a few bits here and there. Yep. Okay. All right. Claire likes Christmas. Yeah. However, in stores maybe not so much at the moment, but no, that's okay. That's okay.
Very good.
Well, on that point, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us, Claire. It's been wonderful having you on the show.
Thank you very much for having me, guys.
No worries.
Okay.
Rest of the day.
Thanks, Claire.
Thanks, Claire.
See ya. Bye-bye.
All right. So, Claire is a fan of prepping for Christmas decorations on Christmas, but not so much in the store. A little bit early still. We all know where I stand. I'm all for Christmas. I won't put my tree up yet, but I'm okay with the decorations being in because it gives me the moment to go, now what do I want to plan? At the same time, I am a big fan of the after Christmas sellout.
I like the after Christmas one. I don't know how I feel about this. When I was thinking, I don't get that upset at seeing Christmas decorations on sale, but I get quite angry at seeing all the Christmas food on sale well before Christmas. Like, what are we about?
It's like hot cross buns in January.
Yeah, I just don't need that in my life. I don't need to see a marshmallow Santa Claus in early October or late September.
Can I just point that you've reverted this Christmas conversation back to food?
I just don't need it. I just don't need it. So I'm against Christmas food early.
I think
but no, nothing against Christmas decorations.
Yeah, you know, I listened to my one song on the playlist today, and I will wait until November, I think, before I pull out my full-on Christmas list.
Okay.
But I am getting a little bit excited. I think it's just one of those things that it's a sign of summer approaching for me. It's not just the holiday, but it's summer is coming up fast, and we're very, very lucky to be in an unregulated COVID summer this summer.
Absolutely.
Everything going well. So the summer of bowls has started. We've had Morrinsville Classico. No, the summer of bowls has started. We've had the Morrinsville Clinico Classic. It's good that we can cut this out. You're probably going to leave it in. The Morrinsville Classico is what it's going to be called now.
I think it should be called the Morrinsville Classico.
Yeah. We've got Burnside under 26 happening this weekend.
Yes, yeah. It's kicking, everything's kicking right
We've
into
got
gear,
about
really.
7 events that are being streamed between now and the end of the month or the end of next month. So it's a busy, busy time. The events are all online. We're getting out and bringing them to you. And we just need the weather to start.
And Christmas
Stop raining.
decorations are out in the shops.
I'm talking about bowls now, Alex. I've changed it back. And on that point, as we think about warmer weather and what bowls competitions and events we're going to be entering over the next couple of months, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Bowls Hour, the show for all things bowls. If you enjoy listening to this podcast, remember to share it around. We can be found on Facebook every week from 7 p.m, as well as Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, and the Bowls New Zealand website, or wherever you get your podcasts. Tune in next week for more talk on everything bowls. Until then, roll on.